My name is Laura Scott, Laurascott, and I am the president of the Evansville Bar Association.
Talk to me a little bit about, I guess, first, the significance of the Old Courthouse to this community. Why is the Old Courthouse important?
I think the Old Courthouse symbolizes, particularly for those of us in the legal community, it points to our history. It symbolizes the history of the legal profession here in Evansville and in Vanderburgh County, and gives us a physical reference for how our legal community has changed and grown over the last few years.
And I know this isn't your area, and I have other people talking about it, but if you could tell me what you can about sort of the history of the Old Courthouse, especially the more recent history where it was, where we essentially abandoned it for as far as the legal profession goes.
Right. Well, a new courthouse was built in Vanderburgh County, which replaced the functionality of the old courthouse. And there was a period of time where there were a lot of buildings being demolished downtown to make way for more modern structures. And what really saved the old courthouse was the fact that it was a little too expensive to demolish, and so it remained. Unfortunately, it fell into disrepair through lack of use over time. And the Evansville Bar Association was approached by the Old Courthouse Preservation Society about making a contribution towards the renovation of the Superior Courtroom. And that was a project that the Evansville Bar Association undertook as part of its 100th anniversary celebration. Initially, we were asked to make a contribution of $25,000, and our board of directors thought that they could do better than that and perhaps fund the entire cost of the $250,000 renovation. In fact, we ended up raising $301,000 to fully fund the renovation of the Superior Courtroom and also provide funding for the Vanderburgh County Legal History Center, which is located in an alcove right next to the Superior Courtroom.
Talk to me a little bit about the new courtroom. Is it functional? Is it actually being used today, or is it mostly there as this is what this building used to look like?
The Randall Shepard Courtroom is used by the Evansville Bar Association and by the Evansville community in general. The Evansville Bar Association uses it in conjunction with our annual Law Day celebration. We use it for memorial services when members of our legal community have passed away. Many of our judges get sworn in that courtroom. When the Indiana Court of Appeals comes to town to do an appellate court hearing, they will use the courtroom sometimes to present their appellate court session. And it's also used by others for weddings and other ceremonial type functions.
Okay. Can you talk a little about the rest of the building and how it's being used today? I noticed there was some painting going on and some renovations even when we were there the other day. Can you speak at all to sort of how the rest of the building is being used?
No.
Okay, fair enough. Here's the other thing I'll ask you. Can you talk a little bit about just that sort of building as a courthouse? Because it very much has the look of an older courthouse, of the kind of thing that when you think of it, you look at it, you go, that's a courthouse. As opposed to when you look at our current court building, you look at it and go, well, that could be anything. Mm-hmm. Do you think that we've lost something in the way that as far as the type of building that we're using for that type of procedure?
Mm-hmm. I think that buildings that have the sort of reverence like the old courthouse does gives a certain weight and an importance to the business that's being conducted there. I know that as an attorney, when I am practicing in an old courtroom, I feel a certain sense of history and a certain sense of importance. I feel very connected to what I'm doing. Modern courthouses don't necessarily have that same feeling. They certainly don't give you the same feeling of being a part of a grand tradition. But a building like the old courthouse certainly does bring back those memories and give you the feeling that you're carrying on a legal tradition that has existed for hundreds of years.
Why did you feel, you being the association, but also yourself, that it was important to bring back that courtroom and create that exhibit over there in the old courthouse to preserve some of that history?
The Evansville Bar Association decided to take on the courtroom renovation project and the history project to celebrate our 100th anniversary. And we thought that this was a fitting project to undertake because it symbolized what has occurred in the legal community in the last 100 years. I think the courtroom itself was something that was important and significant to a lot of our members. Some of them had memories of being in that courtroom, some of our older members, and some of the younger members just had that certain sense of history and importance that come along with being in an old courtroom. So we felt like both the renovation of the courtroom and the Legal History Center that we created to accompany that was something that could be a legacy for future generations and was also preserving something that was important to so many of our members.
Can you talk about why you chose to name it for Randall Shepard and talk a little bit about the Chief Justice?
Sure. We chose to dedicate the courtroom in the name of Randall Shepard. He's the former Chief Justice of the Indiana Supreme Court. Randall Shepard is an Evansville native. He is also very dedicated to historic preservation, and so it made a very fitting combination that we would honor him by dedicating the courtroom in his name.
Okay. Is there anything else about the Old Courthouse that you'd like to say that I haven't thought to ask you?
I think the Old Courthouse is a beautiful building. It really symbolizes the legal history here in Evansville and in Vanderburgh County. I have a view of the Old Courthouse out my window, and it's certainly something that inspires me and makes me think about the legal tradition that I'm carrying on as an attorney here in Evansville today.
I guess for starters, can you just tell me a little bit about working in the Hulman Building, in such a historic building? Do you get a sense of that history just walking in the door?
I think the Hulman Building evokes a sense of history and nostalgia from the moment that you walk in. The lobby is very grand. The brass elevators certainly make you feel like you're stepping into a different era. Working in a building like the Hulman Building certainly has its challenges, as it is working in any old building where maybe things aren't quite as new as you may have in some other buildings. But there's also a certain sense of history and legacy that come with working in an old building. And you can't help but think of people that have come before you and established their practice or their business in a building like this. And it definitely gives you a sense of place and a sense of being part of a history or a legacy.